And then there were 7. On Sunday, South Carolina Sen. Tim Scott surprised everyone, reportedly including some of his own staff, by dropping out of the presidential race. It was an anticlimactic end to a campaign that looked like it had great potential on paper. But controversies really took a toll on Scott's campaign, and he left race early enough to keep his options open for future rather than prolong inevitable. When Scott entered the presidential race in May, there was good evidence that he was the third most likely Republican candidate after former President Donald Trump and Florida Gov. He had $22 million from his Senate campaigns that he could use for his presidential run. This was more than any other candidate not named Trump. He managed to stay on good side of both the pro-Trump and anti-Trump sides of party with his positive message about America. The percentage Republicans who a positive was much higher than proportion who had a negative opinion him. And the fact that other half no showed that there was plenty room for him grow. But all this potential was never realized. It never exceeded 4% in the 538 average of national polls. He spent most of his campaign money on TV ads the primary states. And that seemed to work at first. By mid-August, he was polling 12% in Iowa and 12% South Carolina, according to 538-person averages, state, and 8% in New Hampshire. But then the discussion started. Scott failed use debates to make the case for himself. According to 538 Washington Post Ipsos polls conducted using Ipsos KnowledgePanel after each debate. In first debate, only 4% of Republican primary voters who watched debate said he had best performance, making him third lowest performer among 8 candidates. But at the same time, only 2% said it was the worst performer. In other words, it didn't leave much of an impression either way. He received similarly average marks in the second debate, and in third debate last week, just 5% said he had best performance, poorest performance of all candidates, and 12% actually said they were the worst performer. Our polls also found that Scott's net favorable rating among Republicans worsened after each debate. Clearly voters weren't buying what Scott was selling. But by leaving relatively early, he may have kept his options open for his political future. He has never used nukes against any other candidate and still leaves the race with solid positive numbers. So he remains a viable future presidential candidate. At age 58, he could run again in 2028, 2032, 2036 or even 2040 and still be younger than Trump. As for becoming the Republican vice presidential nominee, which has been widely rumored, Scott said Sunday night, being vice president has never been on my to-do list for this campaign. And it's definitely not on it now. Of course, it's always possible for him to change his mind, now that Scott is out of the race. What other candidate